Okay, so today we are going to roast some coffee on the pan. We preheat our plate, our pan. Here I've got 400 grams of green coffee. I measured that out because I know with this pan that's enough, because one, it might not be full when you start, but as you go along it will double in size, so your pan will be fuller. So I preheated my pan. I'm going to put the coffee in, and as soon as I put it in I have to start turning them. I use a egg whisk to turn the coffee because it's most effective to turn the beans properly. And the important thing is to just start, as soon as the beans are in, you must start turning them to prevent them from scorching. During this phase we are in now, the beans will start to dry out. It's called the drying phase. So the moisture inside the bean is now it's actually turning into steam, and then at a later stage we will get to that. Then that steam will release in what we will call first crack. It will sound almost like popcorn cracking. You can see, because this is on a pan, the pan is not the same temperature all the way around, and so some of the beans will become brown before other ones, which is okay, nothing wrong with that. From the drying phase, it goes into the yellowing phase, and from there it will go into a browning phase, and it's also from there it goes to different shades of brown up into the roast level that you prefer. As you will see, some of the beans they are a bit darker on their face. That's just because they haven't stirred or moved enough, so they scorched a bit on the face. But it's all good. When you pan roast, it's not like commercial roasting where you will have a uniform roast level all the way through. You will have different roasts in one pan, from light roast, medium roast, and dark roast, which is awesome because you get the full spectrum of what that bean has to offer. I normally just go in a circular motion just because it's easier, but you must remember that the center of your pan is warmer than the outside of the pan. So it's important to make sure you stir those beans on the inside. You move them to the outside also, and move some of the beans from the outside to the inside. This is a bit of a long process, but the most important thing is just to keep on stirring. You can see the beans are starting to become a bit more yellow now. So you'll see some beans are almost brownish, the other ones are still green, and the other ones are yellow. But that's all good. It's part of a pan roasting experience to have a variety. You'll see on some beans the chaff is starting to come loose. That pieces of chaff, don't worry about them. They won't affect the flavor too much. And later when we cool them, we'll get rid of most of them. I normally preheat my pan to a bit of a high temperature, and because once you put the green beans into the pan, they absorb a lot of heat. And then once I put them in and I turn down the heat a little bit. Say I preheat it on high, and then I turn it down to about medium through the roasting process. And then later when we get to first crack, we will turn them down again, because at this moment it's a endothermic reaction, so the beans absorb the heat the whole time. But once we get to first crack, it becomes an exothermic reaction where the beans actually give off heat. So then you don't need a lot of heat to keep the roasting process going. You'll see some of the beans are starting to brown now. Most of them are yellow. The reason those beans become brown is because of the sugars inside of them. So the sugars are busy caramelizing due to the Maillard reaction, and this is what develops most of the flavors. So this is where the goodness is. So the darker you roast them, the more sugars you burn. So you will lose some sweetness, but you will gain flavor, which is a good trade-off. Your light roast coffees are normally more acidic, but you get a lot of flavor out of them, whereas your medium roast coffees are a bit less acidic, but your flavors are more pronounced. And then as you carry on to dark roast, um, your coffee becomes more bitter because more of the sugars are burnt in the caramelization process. And when you get the nice smoky and all those strong coffee flavors coming through. Interestingly enough is that the lighter the roast coffee, the more caffeine it has, caffeine content. So your darker coffee, even though the flavor is stronger, the coffee is stronger, your caffeine level is lower. And another thing, just for interest sake, what people always get wrong is that an espresso also has less caffeine in it than a filter coffee, because the longer coffee stands in the filter machine, the more caffeine it extracts. You can see the beans are becoming nice and brown now. A lot of chaff going around there. If you want to, you can just wipe, try to blow them away, but it doesn't matter, you don't have to. As I said, we'll get rid of them at the end in any case. It's important not to put too much green coffee in your pan, because you can see already from when I started to now how much the coffee increased in volume. And if you put too much in, you will spill a lot of beans out of the pan while agitating them. As you can also see, there's a lot of smoke coming off. So it's good if you can do it outside, or if you've got a extraction pan, it's also good. It's not good to do it when you've got a fire alarm in your house. It's advisable to disable it or to rather go outside. You can hear there's faint popping noises coming now. We're getting into the start of first crack. I'm not going to turn the heat off right away. I'm waiting for a couple more to pop, because sometimes you get outliers that start popping much earlier than the rest. And then if you turn the heat down, then you're going to extend your roasting process too long, and then your beans are going to bake. And also I found that the fresher your green beans are, the louder they pop. I think it's because of the high amount of moisture content. I might be wrong. That's what I'm thinking. You can use some more pops. Becoming more constant now, so I'm going to turn the heat to a medium low. You don't want it too high, but also I'd rather have it too high and go quickly through this next phase rather than have it too low and then the coffee tastes baked and not roasted. You can see some of the beans are starting to be nice and dark brown, but we just want the lighter ones to get there as well, so we're going to keep on going. I normally see when most of them are at a medium roast, and I stop the roast because you don't want to go too dark with the darker ones, otherwise you'll have that burnt taste in your coffee, which is okay if you like the taste, but I don't like it too much. Quite a lot of smoke coming out now as we are here in first crack. The difference between pan roasting and commercial roasting is that commercial roasting, the roasters are designed to agitate the beans and all the beans at the same time, the same amount, and heat them, distribute the heat properly and evenly so that all the beans are at the same stage in the roasting process at the same time. As with pan roasting, there's a lot of variables. It's not controlled, so you get a nice variety of roast levels. So, your coffee will taste different each time, which is also good, but not if you're a cafe owner. Okay, so I'm getting almost to a place where I want to stop the roast. The important thing about stopping the roast is you need to cool down the beans quickly, because as long as there's heat, it keeps on roasting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a colander and I'm going to keep stirring it so it can cool down quicker. Okay, most of the beans are in the medium roast area. I can see some of them are starting to glisten, the oil's coming out, which means they are close to second crack, and that's not what I want because then it's going to burn. So I'm going to be moving it over now into the colander. Remember to turn the gas off, and then now I keep on stirring. Normally I do this outside so that the wind can blow through it as well, but it's dark and wet outside now, so I'm doing it in here. But you can see on the sides how the chaff is coming out and falling off, and you just keep on agitating it so it can cool down quicker. Once I'm done with this, also getting rid of most of the chaff, then I will spread it open on a baking pan just to help it to cool down quicker as well, because at this moment we've got a lot of bean mass together, so the heat gets conserved quite a bit. Once you spread it open, it gets rid of most of that heat. For me, this part is just to get rid of all of that chaff. So here I got my baking pan. See, there's quite a lot of chaff that came down out there. And then here I just spread it out evenly. And I'll stir it every now and then because this is also a bit of a smaller pan. Just to turn it around in here as well. Now this coffee, you can make coffee of this now, it's ready, but there's still a lot of flavor development going on there, and a lot of CO2 gas escaping from the process. So it's best to leave it for 2 or 3 days when it's at its prime for a nice cup of coffee. I hope you enjoyed it.